What screams, I'm bad with money. 1. I had a buddy in college who would go through a cycle of bragging about how much money he had, spend it all on dumb stuff, then brag about how poor he was. All while bragging how he was a rich kid. The best part was when he was bragging about having some money to this girl he liked. Turns out that girl actually came from a wealthy family. She said, "It's only $5,000, why do you keep mentioning it? Is that a lot to you?" That event shut him up for a bit. 2. I know someone that paid to get their used red Nissan Sentra wrapped in blue. They are unemployed. 3. I work on cars for a living and the vast majority of the BMWs that come into my shop have slick tires and lights blinking on their dash. So many of these people can barely afford a luxury car, let alone the maintenance required to keep them nice and running. 4. Using credit to buy luxury items, then paying the minimum due, accumulating interest. 5. Complaining about debt while continuing to buy everything. 6. My mom and sister live together still. Couldn't afford rent or their car between the two of them. Nearly had the car repossessed and were closing in on eviction until my grandmother loaned them money. She explicitly said, "Pay me back when you're more stable." It was enough money to keep the car and stay in their apartment. 4 months later my sister gets her tax refund for $4,500, she had a kid and isn't with the father and, instead of making any effort to pay my grandmother back, pay off the car, or have any sort of emergency fund, the two of them buy an expensive purebred puppy. They dropped over $2,000 for the dog and then spent another $500 on a crate, toys, leashes, and dog food. Less than 6 months later they lost the car and were evicted. They moved in with my aunt and her husband hated the dog so it was taken to the SPCA. It wasn't even a year old. My grandmother didn't see a cent of that money returned before she passed away. 7. Buying new clothes, shoes, phones etc., before all your bills are paid. 8. Constantly ordering food for delivery despite living within close proximity of a grocery store. Especially when you are not financially secure enough to be doing that in the first place. Nowadays a $12 McDonald's order is like $30 through DoorDash. If you that desperate for some McDonald's, just walk. 9. Showing off expensive purchases on social media when they can't afford basic necessities. 10. As someone who is formerly bad with money, being in a cycle of being in debt and using apps to borrow money to pay towards your credit cards and to have money for food. Thankfully I'm no longer trapped in this cycle and I never want to be in that cycle again.